Welcome back to MK Sportscars. Today we're going to be showing you how we fit the rear wishbones onto an MK Indy RR chassis. So that's a rose jointed chassis, and what we mean by that is this section here. This is a rose joint. It's an M12 by 1.25 rose joint. So we're going to just sort of show you and talk you through the process of fitting that suspension there for you. So first of all, we're going to prepare the wishbone. What we've done on these, we've already pre-tapped the holes. Powder coat can get stuck in there sometimes, so just pre-tap the holes, M12 by 1.25 as I say, and then we're threading in the rose joint here. What we do is we measure, as a good base measurement starting point is from this part here where my nail is up to the centre of here, approximately 40 millimeters, and you do that on all four corners, and that gives you a good base starting point. There'll be some adjustment once the vehicle's settled down for looking at your toe in and toe out, and for your camber adjustments on top and rear wishbones. So we'll take this now and we'll over to the vehicle and we'll fit it to the car. This locates into the two U brackets on the bottom here of the chassis. Most important thing to start off with, washer on your bolts, an M12 washer. Must thread this in this way. If you don't do it in that way, coming in from this side, you'll never get the bolt out once the bulkhead panel is fitted on, the aluminium panel there. So it must go in from this side. Then what we have is the 14mm shims, and these go either side of the bolt. We'll show that for you. Bolt in, shim on, making sure you've got the correct side wishbone. You've got your suspension mount here, suspension mount there. Bolt on, spacer, wishbone, rose joint there. Same on this side, and we'll line this up to support the weight. And then the other spacer will go on the other side. And then we have another 12mm washer, and then your nylock. These get torqued up once the car's sitting on the ground. We'll do the same on the other side. 14mm shim. And that's the bottom wishbone mounted to the chassis section. Now we're going to look at mounting the shock absorber. We've already fitted these bolts in where the rose joints are. We've got an M12 by 60 here, and we've got the shock here that you can see. There's the adjuster must face inwards to the vehicle, so when you're under the vehicle you can then adjust your damper settings. We're sliding in the bolt. The easiest way to get the M12 by 60 in is if once it's slotted in, you'll need to come in from the inside of the car. So we'll slot this in a second, slide it in from the inside, is just allowing for access. Slot your damper in, M12 by 60 in with its washer on. Then you can take your bottom wishbone, pull this up into place, seat in your damper, and you come from either side on this, but come from the inside so it's matching with your washer on, and your nylock and your washer will go on. So now we're going to look at the rear upright. Again, we've tapped out all the holes just in case to make sure there's no powder coat in there, making it easier for a cleaner thread. One thing to point out on these, you can see the direction of the actual, I'll put the bolt in here, you can simulate it. These are facing forward in direction. This is to ensure once the caliper bracket is mounted that the rear caliper is facing upwards. If this was on the other side, this will be mounted down, so it'll be incorrect. So these are handed, so it's vitally important that you put these in the forward direction, pointed downwards. This is quite simply mounted 200mm M12 bolt straight through rose joint, through the other side, and again washer and your nylock. These wishbones, as you can see, they're the top wishbone. They're not handed. You can use it on either side of the top wishbone, on either side of the vehicle, driver's side or passenger side. The rose joints here is M12 by 1.25, and these we measure 40mm out. Once it's in place, you'll see the bolts, they're coming from this direction, otherwise it clears the bulkhead. So push them in from this side so you can remove it at any time afterwards in the future. Same for this one, come from the inside because the fuel tank sits to the other side of this. Slide it on, and you've got your nut and your washer to tighten this up. And once the vehicle's on the ground, then you torque them up to the correct settings once your vehicle's settled. Tightening up the nut, there we go, and tightening up the nut on this one. There we go. Nut and wash. Next up, we've got the drive shafts. Now these again are handed. We have a longer drive shaft and a shorter drive shaft. The longer drive shaft on the UK side of the drivers goes on this side. These are 508 and you've got 466 on that side. So you can tell by the diff that one side of the axle, if you come around here, you can see that this stub axle comes out further than this particular arm, which is why the shaft is longer. Okay, if you look at the distance here, look at the distance here, you'll be able to then see that you need the shorter shaft on this side and the longer shaft on that side. Just quite simply here, we've got M8 bolts here. Make sure that you grease up nicely all your constant velocity joints, are well packed, and then this can sit into place on the labros. Just finger tight. We work our way around, finger tight, loose in, and we can torque them up to the specifications once they're all fitted in place. On the outer joint here, we've torqued these up already, thread locked them in, etc. The M8s into the stub axle onto the CV joint. Then you can pull up your upright here, that will slot into place and slide it through, pushing it through, ready for your outer wheel bearing and your top rose joint to fit. There we go, rose joint in, it slides in, it's already got the shims in there for you, and then you slide in the bolt, the M12 bolt is M12 by 60s, straight through from this direction, and then you're looking at your washer and your nylock on the other side. Right, next up we've got the bearing cowl. This is a Sierra donor part. We do these in billet aluminium as well, but this is the steel version, and we put new bearings in there, greased up, etc. This will just slide on, and then we've got 4 M10 bolts to hold this into place. These need to be thread locked. Tighten them up, getting your Allen key, making sure, as we said earlier, the caliper bracket is fitted towards the back of the vehicle. This is the rear, front, caliper mounted towards the back. And once you've tightened up the 4 bolts, you're now looking at your flange, which has your wheel studs already fitted on. Again, this is a Sierra donor part, and then this will just slide through onto the splines. Once your flange is on, then you want your washer and your lock nut to go into place. Again, you torque these up to manufacturer specifications, which is in the Ford Sierra manuals as well, making sure the bearing will be nice and free moving. And then we're on with the disc, mounted into place, and then we'll be on with mounting the caliper next. Now completed, as you said, the final thing was the caliper. This is just held in with the 2 bolts here, which are mounted here and here. Caliper spring. This is a 4 coil spring. If you're running 13-inch wheels, this does have to get changed to a 3 coil spring, which we do sell. So come and speak to us if you've got any questions about wheel sizes and caliper clearance. It's a 4 coil and 3 coil, which we manufacture.